mobile home industry. From the bottom to the top, he climbed the ladder of success. Investing in them trailers, he was bound to impress. Started off with nothing, just a dream in his mind. But he had that fire burning, couldn't be confined. He saw potential in the mobile homes, a hidden treasure. Flipped him like a pro, turned him into a real estate pleasure. J Garcia, the mobile home king. He's got the vision in the game, he's still progressing. From trailers to mansions, making moves so bold.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mobile Home Confessions in Cars. My name is Jose J Garcia, and this is where I get to share raw footage, behind the scenes, the stuff that people, investors don't talk about. All the wins, all the profits. I love it, but there's a lot of stuff you don't know. Now, on today's episode, I'm going to be bringing Nick, who is an investor partner, friend, and he's an awesome hustler, if you will. He's going to be sharing some of his own stories, some of his raw footage, if you will. So stay tuned for that for sure. But before we get started, today's car, we decided to use nothing more than my very own Chevy Corvette Stingray. Now, this is actually my second Corvette. The first Corvette I had was a C7, which previously seen last on the movie The Last Stand. It's very similar to that car. So love them. I think they're great vehicles. They're very sporty. They're very attractive. Love driving around. It's a fun toy. This one here pushes right around 500 ponies, 500 horses, maybe a little bit more with a few upgrades we've done. But a few facts about Corvettes. Corvettes are the longest exotic quotations cars that has been around. So that is definitely a plus. Now, back in 1953 was the very first Corvette that came around with only 150 horses. But you got to think back, 150 horses back in the 50s, that's powerful. That's a powerful machine. There was nothing around. I mean, we've come a long way since, but in 1962 was when the first Stingray was introduced. It was also when the first top came off. Now, we'll have the top off a little bit later, but it's when the more convertible, if you would, took place. So look, I love them. Great cars. They're fun. Let's get to the show. Let's go pick up Nick and let's get started. All right, so with me this morning, I got Nick Garner. Nick is an investor. Gunder, yes, Gunner. Got it correct. So Nick is an investor. I looked up to him. He hustles, the definition of hustle for sure. So Nick, you've been in this game, same game, mobile home investing. You've seen the ups, downs, lows, and there's a lot of raw. And that's what we're going to talk about, the raw footage that a lot of people don't talk about. So Nick, you mostly do wholesaling, right?
Yes, in a sense. A little bit of wholesaling and what I call quick sale.
Okay, quick sell. What is that? Quick put on contracts, flip?
Yeah. So what we normally do is we buy it at a low price and sell it pretty quickly to the next person. Sometimes wholesale exit don't work because you have to control the situation. So we'll rather control it than to get away from us. So we'll just buy it real quick and get it real quick.
It's kind of like the Warren Buffett way. You just do it really quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. What is the best deal you've ever done?
Best deal I ever done. Man, that's a good question.
The one that didn't get away?
Yeah, right. I guess I would say a mobile home attached to land. I guess the reason I'm gonna say that is because it was actually my first wholesale deal that I did with a mobile home attached to land. And I guess what makes it special too, because it was like my third deal. I did 2-part deals before that one. Got a call off a bandit sign with that one. A family was moving back to North Carolina, and they wanted to get rid of their mobile home on land. And it was located in Hampton, Georgia, not too far from the racetrack. So it had good comps to it. It was a 1995 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and the great thing about it was it had all the negotiating points to it. I mean, you had a bed or
You remember the details on it, so I know that was a good deal.
Yeah.
When you can look back, that was a 3-bedroom too. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, you're right. I mean, because it was actually one of those deals that really stood out from everything else. I mean, it was literally like the dirtiest deal I ever walked into, and my wife walked into, so that made it special too. She almost couldn't stomach it. I mean, I'm from the country, backwoods. Nothing really bothers me. So yeah, I mean, they had roaches everywhere. I mean, you went in a bedroom in the windowsill. I mean, there's a bed of like naked rats just in a bed, just sitting there. I mean, with a little kid running around like 5, 6 years old. But I'm the type, right? I mind my business. I stay out of people's business. But I mean, I probably could have got that child taken, but that's not me. I stay out of people's business. But yeah, I mean, it was just that bad, right? Went inside one of the bathrooms, and I mean, insulation was just falling out of the ceiling, and I mean, it was wet. I mean, it was like molded. It was horrible. But I got it up under contract, right? It was in a subdivision where it was like 80% mobile homes. So the two across the street had just sold like a month ago. So I ran comps off of that, and found the buyer pretty quick in like 2 days, and got rid of it. And what made it special was, before I got into the mobile home industry, I was in the single family wholesaling side. It didn't work for me, or at least it was too slow. I'm the type of guy, I like speed. I don't like too many middlemen. I like to get direct and comfortable. So the way my mindset worked, I'm like, okay, it's one person holding me up, and that's the closing attorney. Because now I got to get on your schedule. I got to send you documents. I mean, you just start adding all these different things up. All you basically saying is time. And I was like, no, can't do this. So like I said, this was my third deal, right? So it was special because I finally did a traditional wholesale deal, because I never did one on the single family side. I had to come to the mobile home side to do it, right? So yeah, that was my special deal.
So let's start real quick. You said roaches, and we talked about this on episode number 2. We talked about some of these, they're not even scared of you.
Right.
You know, you're used to, you flip the lights and they run, but in some of these people's homes, I believe they're pets.
Yeah.
They're part of the families. It's just, they're there. They
Yeah.
become part of it. And I mean, people live like that.
Yep.
You know, people live with roaches, fleas, and rats, and it's another day.
Yep.
So I mean, no, that's definitely for sure. How long you been doing this?
I've been doing it now for about 3 years.
And killing it. So absolutely. Another thing we talked about episode number 2 was breaking into your own homes. Almost got arrested once.
Wow.
I went into my mobile home through the window because it's the only access, and apparently they called the law. They saw me.
Wow.
So how many mobile homes have you broken into?
None. I do a good job of making sure I receive the keys, and I always have a lockbox on it. I take that back. That made me think of, well, I haven't, right? But I encourage some people to it. I can say that. So I was actually showing a mobile home one time, and I forgot to write down the combination to the code. And I had a serious buyer looking at the mobile home, and he was a mover buyer. So, I mean, I definitely don't want to be on his bad side, right? Mm-hmm. So, man, the guy, okay, I'm at the mobile home. And I'm like, all right, cool. Text him the code. He's like, it's not working. I'm like, you sure? Because I was having problems with the lockbox anyway, because it was one of my older ones. It kept sticking. And I'm like, man, you just got to beat it. You got to kick it, knee it. I don't do whatever. He's like, man, it's not working. So I'm running through my notes. I'm like, I know I got it wrote down somewhere. So I'm just trying to hurry up because I know I'm pissing him off. And so I'm like, I tell you what, man, just go on the back side and just let the window up and go through. He's like, no, man, I'm not doing all of that. I'm like, so I'm now trying to think of someone I know that stays locally that can possibly just go through for him and unlock the door. Couldn't think of no one. So I encouraged someone to do that. On one more deal, I was like 3 hours away from it, and the door was unlocked. So the people was going to look at the mobile home with the door unlocked. So I learned from that. I don't care how many doors you got unlocked, still have a key on site, because somebody's going to come behind them and lock that door. And And that's what happened.
Yep, happens every time. Well, some of the fixer-uppers we take in communities, I mean, these things are boarded up. So, there ain't no keys nowhere to be found. You're going to have to get in somehow or another. But what would you say some people you don't do business with?
Some people I don't do business with is self-centered people. I'm an abundance type of guy. I truly believe that none of this is ours. We on a lease with it. God gave it to us, or your higher power, whoever you believe in. So, on the way here, I was listening to a motivational sermon, and he talked about having your hand closed so tight to where you can't receive. And, I talk about fishing a lot to Jay, so here's another little scenario that popped in my mind when he said that. I imagine a river or a stream running, and my hand in that river, and my hand was open at first, and a small fish came through, and I closed and I caught him. But I knew this ain't enough to feed my family with. And my common sense, my wisdom know if I keep my hand closed, I can never open it, so a bigger one can come through and I can close on him. And that was just a quick little thought process popped in my mind. Always keep your hand open, because a bigger fish got to come through, and then you can close on him. So I always keep an open mind, So I always just think abundance. So I like to be around abundance thinking people, because it's just teamwork. You get things done a lot faster.
Now I feel bad about what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
All that inspiration. I mean, that's great stuff. People living in cars. Now, I do a lot of rentals, so you don't mix into that just yet as much. But, in this business, like, you want to have a heart, obviously, and Nick has a great one. So, but you want to care for people. You want to be for them. You want to help them out. But there's some people you can't help. And some of the people I don't do business now, years later, learn from is I live in a motel. I live in a car, and years ago, mentors actually told me there's a reason why they're there. You want to help them out. But if you do, it ain't gonna work out. I didn't listen. So I started, you live in a motel, I wanna help that person. You live in a car, I feel bad. You're homeless, I'm definitely wanna help you out. First month, skip out on me. Or didn't pay me. So it's like, again, you learn from those things, but it's like some people you just can't do business with. So has anybody ever tried to sell you a stolen mobile home? Or not their mobile home?
No, but yes. I think I'm dealing with a situation like that now.
They'll come around.
Yeah, I finally went out and seen the mobile home, and I'm like, so whose mobile home is it? He's like, I just need to get rid of it off the land, and the landowner just needs it gone. It was given to me. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, so are you related to the landowner? No, it was just given to me. The lady died, it was just given to me, so I need to get rid of it. So I'm like, something ain't right. I just felt that something ain't right. So from what I got of it now, I think what's going on is someone gave him the job to tear the mobile home down, and instead of him tearing it down, he's trying to quick flip it to someone, make $1, and not tear it down at the same time, which creates a win-win. And he don't have any paperwork on it.
Or double pay too.
Yeah.
Yep. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens, and that's what the demo companies, the moving companies will pull little stunts like that as well. So yeah. What about activities going on? You talked about you and your wife, which I think that's great. Couples doing business together. But you walked into that one mobile home. She couldn't stomach it. You lived through the roaches, so you were good. Yeah. Other activities going on. You've ever walked into one that you're like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, I have. I mean, like I said, I've seen it all. So nothing really bothers me, and I'm really the type, I really mind my own business. I've been in my own world with it. So yeah, I've seen a lot of illegal activities. I've seen a lot of weird stuff where you come through and people looking at you all strange and funny. They telling on themselves before you even create the thought of your mind. So yeah, I've seen a lot of situations, in my experience of investing.
I walked into what was voodoo, if that's a real thing.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
Candles, black rooms, like, man, I had to leave out of there and start praying. I walked into needles activities. We can go real deep into this, by the way. For those of you listening, we can go deep into this. I mean,
Yeah.
I've walked into houses where the people walked right beside me. I mean, I walked in and they walked right by. I didn't even face them I was in. You know, they were high out of their mind.
Yeah.
I've walked into people getting busy. I mean, just we can have a whole series of that in itself. Talk about that voodoo real quick. I don't believe in that, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't want to believe in it.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of voodoo, right? What I believe is everything. I believe it's real. I believe everything on earth is about intent. It's about what intention do you put into it. I believe everything around us is a resource, and it's about your thoughts give it the power. Your mind gives it the power. So it comes down to intent. But getting back to the voodoo part, when he said that, he made me think of a recent deal of like 2 months ago. So I had been talking to this lady for like 5 months, just following up. And it was finally that time to say it. She went on to call me. So me and my wife, we went out and took a look at the mobile home. So we just walking through, get into the back room. And from being down south, voodoo is a big thing. I mean, you hear about it, you see about it, some family members into it, friends into it. I mean, it's around, right? So you know what you see, but you might not know the definition to what you see. So when I walked into the room, I seen a box of candles. So I'm like, okay. And I seen the colors and all. I'm like, okay. And then I was just looking around, looking for soft spots on the floor. And I seen 2 jars on the floor. And the jars was black. And they were sitting on their side. And all the black stuff was, of course, you know, at the bottom of it. I already knew what it was. It was a jar of honey. And I told my wife, I said, babe, like, look. She looked, she's like, oh. She froze because we already know, like I say, we're from the South and we know people that's into it. And a jar of honey is usually a root that someone puts on someone else to get them stuck in a situation. And we already knew what it was. So my wife, I seen her hair stand up from here, and that's hard to see. So she turned around. The seller was sitting in the living room. So I just got quiet and let my wife took over with the seller. Of course, she was a female. And my wife's like, do you know this honey back here in the jar? She was like, what? And she's the type of man, the lady so dramatic, the seller, right? So she's like, what? What you talking about? Well, her husband was staying in a mobile home and they was divorced. And one of the biggest things she got tired of, his lineage, voodoo crazy. Like, he grew up in it. So, and I believe he put something on the lady, the way the lady acts. She's not acting real human-like. So she walked back there. She's like, oh my God. She was like, oh my God, I didn't know. I didn't know, like, what should we do? And we was like, the first thing you should do is not touch it, you know. And they had cleaners coming out the next day. So the cleaners, we told her to tell the cleaners, make sure they don't touch that jar. They got a stick or whatever to put it in a bag and clean it up. But we thought that was wild. And then we kept walking, right? We kept walking. Then we went to the other side of the mobile home. And on the other side of the mobile home in the bedroom, it was more candles in there. So it was like, yeah, this guy right here. At that point, my hair started standing up. And that usually don't even happen. And but I got a good 6th sense. And I started walking out, right? So you know, in most mobile homes, when you walk in the front door, you walk to the right, the door folds back, and that's the hallway. Mm-hmm. So now my wife wouldn't go in the back room. She was standing at the front door. So she went ahead and closed the front door. All I heard was a big gasp of air. She was like, Nick. So I'm already about scared at that point. So I run in there where she at, see what's going on. And she just pointed to the back door. There's a big X on the back door in blood. And yeah, it really got freaky then. And then we closed. Then we opened the front door again, so the back of the door, you know, would be against the wall. Then we looked at the front door. It was another big X. I don't know how we missed it. So it was like, man, this is crazy. So now at this point, I'm talking to
you start flinching.
Man, what you talking about? I'm like, man, we got to get up out of here. So now the seller's scared to go back in the house. She left her keys, purse. She won't even go get it. So I had to go back in the house and get her purse. And I mean, it was just freaking. Now, crazy thing about it, right? This mobile home just moved yesterday. And she left a bag in the mobile home. So she went to get her bag out. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So she was like, y'all still looking for more mobile homes? I'm like, yeah. So she was like, well, here's the name and number. So, of course, we're in real estate. We do research. I already knew what her husband's name was from off of research. So she gave me the name, the first name, and then she gave me the last name. She changed it and gave me another last name. I'm saying to myself, I already know this your husband. So I'm like, this somebody. So I asked her, I'm like, is this someone you some kin to? She's like, yeah, this is my ex-husband. She was like, he got 2 mobile homes he want to sell. She was like, but I'm gonna let you know now. He's a straight crook. He's a straight crook, and he ain't right now. So right now, I don't know if I'm gonna call him today or not. I'm kind of iffy because of the first mobile home I seen.
Man, the stories. Some of these mobile homes I walk into, it's too quiet. I'm looking around like, nah, one of those kind of things. You just know something is up. You know, that story, Nick's got my hair standing up. Let's go have a little bit of fun. And we are back. So feel a little better after that story and a little ride. So, but Nick, well, what is the craziest story mobile home investing you got?
The
got a lot of those.
Yes.
Wendy's coffee ain't that bad, by the way. No, I'm not advertising. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Wendy's coffee ain't that bad.
Yeah, I just left Starbucks myself and got a. Yeah,
that's what I was looking for.
A medicine ball. I love those. They so soothing. Crazy story. Oh my God, crazy story. It's so many. It's like it's so many till it gets to the point that they're not crazy anymore.
That's when you know you've been in the game for a while.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I've been there. It's like people ask me, it's like, this don't bother you? Maybe 20 times ago it did, but now it's just like.
I think I found one.
Go ahead.
Mobile home. Got a call from Facebook. Hey, you buy mobile homes? Yes, we do. Can you come out and take a look at mine? I'm trying to get rid of it. I owe back lot rent. I'm almost in eviction court in a couple of days. Like, can you please come save me? Sure, that's what we do. Went out to the house, and I mean, from the road, you just smelt the funk.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my God. And you know, over the last 3 years, we've been dealing with COVID. So a lot of people have been masked up. But I'm the type, I have a high sense of faith where I have my own beliefs now. I'm a strong believer of my thoughts and all of that, right? So I never wore a mask, and I never been sick. I think, once again, it all starts in the mind. Your mind grows, whatever. Anyway, so I get to the front door, open the front door. As soon as I open the front door, I realize, okay, Nick, you're going to have to wear that mask today. And I turn around, I go to the car, and I go get the mask. And I come back in, and I start walking the mobile home. And oh my God, I never seen that many pet feces in a mobile home. I mean, it was literally 3 inches deep. Like, I'm like, and they was living there. And I'm like, how in the world is you doing it? So that's in the living room. So now I'm like, okay, it ain't that bad all over the whole mobile home. So I'm just walking, go to the back end. I go in the master bathroom. Even worse. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I'm just speechless. But at the same time, dollar signs going off in my head because of, okay, more negotiation power. So go to the kids' room, you know, the other end of the mobile home, and I'm just walking, feces in there. At that point, I almost went against what I don't do. I almost called the people then. But once again, I be in my own world, right? I mind my own business. But that was the worst situation I ever been in.
Did you buy it?
Yes, I did. I did buy it. I bought it for $4,300, and I sold it for $13,500. So
you got a great mind to remember numbers.
Yeah,
that's a good profit though.
Yeah, it was, and it was quick because I already had a part owner that was waiting on it. So yeah, it worked out. It was a crazy situation, but it worked out. And you know what really made me mad about the situation? I mean, that part made me happy, right? But it was a new part that I was testing out, and they was in between part managers, so it wasn't a solid foundation there. So, and the part managers were they was new. They was like 4 or 5 months new, and man, this part had like 300 homes in it, and out of 300, probably 200 of them was vacant, but it was like 2004s and up, and they all needed work. And I'm like, oh my God, I stumbled over a gold mine. And man, I couldn't get it because they was in and out of managers. So I was basically dealing with the district manager, and of course she didn't know me. I mean, yeah, she checked the credentials of the company and all this and that, but it's just some situations you just can't get.
Middleman, they be messing stuff up.
Yep.
So last one for you, Nick. Before we go, we're gonna go have some more fun. So, would you trade mobile home investing for any other business?
You know, I had this talk with my wife yesterday. I mean, literally yesterday we had this talk about mobile home investing. You know, it gets kind of difficult sometimes partnering with your other spouse. Because at the end of the day, when you're married, you got to compromise and blend, you know, ideas and things. So in business, oh my God, it really gets crazy sometimes. But no, we had this conversation the other day about it. And I was telling her, I was like, no, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change what we're doing for the world because the ROIs are crazy. And the way my thought process works, that's what I want to take the credit. God landed me here for that reason. Not the reason the ROIs. I believe it's the reason for the type of audience of people we deal with. That kind of fits my strength in the audience we deal with. That's my calling. That's what I feel. But like back to what we're saying, the ROIs, I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. Because like I said, I started flipping cars. Then I had to realize, okay, I need to take it to another level. Then I went to wholesaling traditional real estate and realized, okay, this is another level, but it's too many steps in between that I don't like. So I kept searching, trying to narrow down the steps. And that's when I went to mobile homes. I'm like, okay, I think I found something, because now I don't have to deal with a closing attorney on personal property. And I'm a fast thinker, so speed is my name. So that sped things up. So no, I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. I mean, it's been a blessing to me and my family thus far. I know it's been a blessing to you.
Very.
You know, so no, I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Mobile homes, fast, simple, and they pay. That's typically the 3 things that investors say. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We got many more of these episodes coming. Subscribe, hit the like. Until next time, thank you for watching.